Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm super excited. Not really even sure what day of the week it is. I usually say Skytear's Day Tuesday, but I think it's Wednesday. And we took the past couple weeks off streaming, doing solo this week. You'll notice Steven is gone. He's not gonna be here today. So I'm playing Skytear solo, which is particularly exciting because I haven't played Skytear in a minute, and I'm excited to get it back on the table. Secondarily, PvP Geeks is hard at work, and they have put out the beta, I believe, of what they are calling Skytear Solo. Now, they were on our podcast, to the two founders, a month or two back, and they revealed that they were working on a solo slash cooperative version of Skytear. And this is, from what I know, this is not it. This is a beta, so like they have an app. I need to get my phone out to use it. But they have an app, which is pretty cool. I'll have the top down in a second. I'll be going through the rules. I've never played it. I've just read through the rules once. I'm hopeful that people more familiar, I know a couple people from the community said they were going to be here in chat. So I'm going to be learning how to play solo Skytear, or Skytear Solo, the mode. And they designed this really cool mobile app to basically give a little bit of AI to the enemy characters, which just lets you get the game to the table. If you can't, if you don't have opponents to play with, if you're in an isolation situation in a pandemic, as we are right now. So I'm really happy to see them do this. Early on when we started streaming Skytear, first off, we played this game for the first time last spring and immediately just fell in love. There's just something special about this game and this universe that it's an X factor that's hard to describe, and it's something we don't often see in a lot of games that come out. But early on, we asked in one of the streams basically what was keeping people from getting into this game. And obviously isolation was happening even more so last summer when we were asking that question than it is now. But a lot of people were saying they're afraid they're not going to have anyone to play it with. There's not a solo or co-op mode. So the people they would play it with on the co-op side don't necessarily want to play heads up. They're just nervous they're not going to actually be able to get it to the table. So I was really excited to see them put this version of the game out. It's doing a couple things that I'm really excited about. And it's also cool that they're also working on a totally independent co-op single player version of the game. I think both of those will be critical for just utility and usefulness for this game for a lot of people out there playing. I'd love to know people in chat hanging out right now. I saw people even before we started saying, this game wasn't interesting to me at all until I heard about the solo mode, which is why they're here to check it out. So I'd be curious how many people out there have played, how many people are interested in playing, and how many people this mode is making you interested in playing. And then I'm excited to see what they do it. But the other thing that this is doing that I think is really cool, and it's something that we've kind of speculated about in the past on the podcast, but basically having a version of a game where this is a clever use of an app component. Some apps, like the XCOM board game was in my opinion, I thought it was a fine use of the app. The Journeys to Middle-earth, the two Journeys, I forget what it's called, Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings game by Fantasy Flight. I felt like the app was too much for me. Like I was spending too much time with the app and not just playing the game, to the point where I almost wondered why we weren't just playing a video game. Same thing with like Mansions to Madness, the updated version with the app. It felt a little heavy-handed to me on the app. And so it's a fine balance, but they're using an app, which I'll be looking at as we're playing today, just how much I feel like I'm playing the game versus actually managing the game through the app. But then more importantly, they released a beta. We have cards, so the pops will happen. Cards will pop up on screen as I'm saying the ones that we're using on this app. I don't have physical versions of those cards yet. But it's really cool because you can imagine one of the struggles of printing physical cards in a game is that if you get a stat wrong or you get the power level of something a little bit off, it's really hard to fix. A lot of times designers get into this trap of they'll create a card that's a problem or a character, and then they'll design new cards to combat that, or they'll escalate the power level. And so it's this kind of arms race until you end up in this weird state of the game someday that's almost impossible to cut yourself out of or get out of that corner. But what this means is they can release a beta version of the app. Right now, I think there's 4 of the characters that are playable against as AI, which I'll be using those as my enemies today. And they have plans to do AI for all of the heroes, so you could technically play against anything. And they can basically iterate really quickly. People can use the app, they can get feedback, they can see it in play, and they can also change it often. So like it's possible you kind of play it enough times where maybe it's a little too predictable because nothing's as unpredictable as a human opponent. But they can keep building on it. They can keep adding cards, they can keep adjusting, they can make changes, they can add stuff, they can make surprises happen. maybe 1 in 100 games a card pops out for a certain character that you don't see every time. So there's a world of possibility here. And the main things I'm looking for are if it speeds up the quality of the cards and the testing and offers game modes that otherwise wouldn't be feasible to print like a solo deck at this point. But also if it actually creates a really fun version of playing the game, even just from picturing like when you're playing a video game, kind of like the training levels of a video game, where if I can get my list on the table and function with it. Like yesterday I was doing a deck building stream for the Flesh and Blood TCG, and after I built my deck I was doing test draws, and that's fine. That's a fine way to look at it, but there's just something about having even just a test dummy to like fight against. So I'm hopeful that's what this becomes, where you can just kind of build a list, choose some enemy heroes that you want to test against. You can start seeing how they function, see what their stats are doing, and they'll mimic what that character probably would feel like. And maybe it's not as good as an opponent. Most of the time it's not going to be, even just for the interaction, the social interaction and the connection you make with someone when you're playing a game that makes tabletop so special. But having that sort of test dummy would be so useful, and I think it would allow people to explore the game and learn it. Because early on, right, if I hadn't had Steven around and we weren't going through this together, that would have been a much different process, that learning process, and it would have been a lot harder for me to get into this game. One of the upsides is the game has models, so you can paint it. There's a little bit of game outside the game there. But I think this is a really good, conceptually, it's a good primer for standard, competitive heads-up Skytear. So I'm excited to try it out, and we'll see what I think. I'll give thoughts on that at the end of the stream, and then I'm sure I'll be talking about it on future podcasts. Now I'm going to catch up with chat before we dive into the actual rules. If you have any questions about Skytear in general, or the solo mode, or anything, honestly, I'm here to answer it. I'm going to be hanging out playing this. Steven's not here, so I'll be aiming a lot of my questions and thoughts directly at chat. And it should be a good time. I'm excited to see what they did. I've been impressed with PvP Geeks so far, so I won't be surprised if by the end of this thing I love this mode. Thomas Daniel saying, another mode, question mark, question mark. Yes, please. Yeah, I don't think anyone loses by extra modes. Thomas saying it's in beta right now, yep. Michael saying, solo mode has been helping me learn the game, but make no mistake about it, this is not the game. Head-to-head is, in quotes, the game. Being Friends saying, I know they plan to make an entirely separate game set in the same world for co-op and solo. Luckily, it won't have its own minis, and we'll use the same characters so you can reuse the minis. I think that's really important, and they've kind of talked about their release strategy, where I want to say there's something like 24 models right now. Let me see. There's 29 models here without with the outsiders, and I have the new expansion ones at home because I'm working on painting them. So that's like 33 models, but they're not planning on releasing models super frequently. So that actually is super helpful for me because, like Crisis Protocol right now, I'm almost keeping up. I did a lot of painting over the break. We had a couple weeks off, but they're releasing models so fast. It becomes demotivating to try to assemble and paint them all. So I was really happy to see that. I would prefer an influx of cards more often than new models. Bizcata saying, I wonder how solo Skytear would even work out. Dysphoria saying, well, we're about to find out. Am I right? Dysphoria, I think you can get the beta rules and PDF from the Skytear homepage. Yeah, they link to it on the website. Let's see. Alex Becker saying, what up, party people? Good to see you. Joseph Kane, same. Yo, yo. Kai saying, finally I can catch a stream again. Welcome back, Kai. Good to see your name. He's saying he hasn't been able to catch a live stream since October. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully that's just work or something positive. Colin saying, Steven is a French press. Don't act like he's not there. I'm not saying he is or he isn't. Dysphoria says, surely if he was going to be here, it would be a Nalgene bottle. That would actually be hilarious if I had a commemorative like Nalgene bottle here because Steven was gone. Speaking of which, a word from our sponsors. Just kidding. Being Friends, I'm likely going to try out solo a few times to make a video about my thoughts. Cool. I'll definitely check that out. Hope you're doing well, Evan. Eddie, the solo mode has me interested in the game. Great. Well, this would be a great time. If you have questions about the game, please let me know. Nathan Lewis, interested in playing, especially if there is a solo mode when I can't get other people to play. Yeah, I mean, I think having this solo mode, if they're going to put out a solo co-op version, I think having that range is going to be super important just for people to get the opportunity to get this game to the table and really experience it. Tim saying, so excited for co-op, interested in solo. Tim's my brother, for those that don't know. He also recently won the first Skytear World Championship, so congrats to you again, Tim. I am actually using I built his list from the World Championship to use today. Haven't Well, I was looking at the options. I could either build something on my own, but I felt like it would be good to give his deck a spin. So if you haven't seen that, I think there's a ton of live streams of him playing that list, and it was really something to watch. But I'm excited to try it for myself and get it on the table. Kovacs, knowing I can play always, regardless of getting other people in, is so important to me. Jeffrey saying, I haven't played, but I've been very interested. Solo co-op makes it much more likely that I'll pick it up. Pedro saying, here because of the solo mode, I want to hear more about it. Well, stay tuned. We're going to be covering all that very shortly. Michael saying, World Champ speaks the truth. I don't know what Tim's truth was speaking, but I assume it was true. I'm a Sexy Dinosaur saying, I've played a couple times and I love this game. My friends weren't as sold on the game though, so solo mode is definitely of interest to me. If it works well, it may give me enough reason to keep buying expansions. That's awesome. It's awesome to hear. It's good feedback. I'm sure the PvP team is going to love hearing from everyone out there. Newly Yojas. Hey, what's happening? Sorry, I don't know. I just opened this stream randomly. It's a game called Skytear. They just released a solo mode. Typically, it's a player versus player heads up in line with like a MOBA video, classic computer game style. Super great game. If you want to learn how to play, you can stick around. Dysphoria saying, first impressions from reading the solo rules. The rules seem pretty simple enough. It's not overly complex. It seems like it gets the models on the table and kind of mimics the way a game would function. I haven't really seen any of the cards that were going to be popping up, which are the AI cards that basically activate, and I haven't seen how it truly functions. So I'm optimistic, but I don't really have strong opinions yet. Pardon me if I get the name wrong, but Gilliam. Hello from France. Welcome. Sorry about the name. I really probably butchered it. But glad to have you here either way. Being Friend says, it seems like there are so many people that have been interested in Skytear, but not having a solo mode has been a deal breaker. I hope it's great so we can get more people all in on this fantastic game. Well, I hope the same thing. I think this game is wonderful. Big fan of PvP Geeks, the publisher, and I'm hoping that they continue having success and doing well. And I don't think solo mode is going to hurt their chances of being successful at all. There's a ton of people that I think are in that audience, and that's kind of where the kindling of a fire can begin, right? Making sure that when people get in, they actually get to experience the game, because it's a fantastic game, is going to just increase the likelihood that they stick around and introduce more people to the community. All right, I'm going to unmic for a second and go switch the camera. Normally Steven would do this, but alas, I'm here alone. And then we'll go to the top down and I'll start wading through the how to make this game actually function solo. I need a really long stick. Reading chat real quick, catching up. I missed a few when I was standing. Pedro saying, besides loving Arkham and the Marvel Champions, the reason I can play them so often is because of solo mode. Every time I can play with my girlfriend or brother, I do, but mostly I play solo. Yeah, I totally understand that. So a few things about my setup here. I have my health trackers along the bottom for my 4 characters that I'm using. I have the enemies along the top. The actual solo rules had me set up these characters in this way, and I'm just going to walk through the solo rules really quickly. And I have my characters on the board for reference, but I have the win conditions they recommend testing at first. At some point, I'll probably randomize those. Same with the outsider. I then have the heroes that are the enemies here, and they have you flip them to their basically simple side. So on the back of the standard stat card, like this is Gilbjorn, and he's got his stats and all of his abilities and stuff, but in the solo mode, it's just using the back of his card. Then I have my characters over here. When I turn them sideways, any of these characters, that means they have activated. And I'll put the lead cards behind them as they do their thing. So just reading through the rules real quick, it's saying set up for the 2-lane battlefield. That's how the solo mode works right now. It's a standard board for Skytear. Step 1, suggest these victory conditions. So it's Tactician, win the lead of a control token 6 times. So every time I win a lead of a control token, I'll put a token over here on Tactician. If I get to 6, I win. Same for my fictitious opponent. I have Obstinacy. Defeat the same enemy hero twice. So when you defeat a hero, when you take away all their health and they get removed from the board, if they've already activated, so this is the round tracker over here for people that are new. It's behind this card for a second. When that card goes away, you'll see it. So when a hero is defeated, if they've already activated that turn, then they don't come back the next round. They come back the round after that. So like if Gilborn, I'm having trouble here, was defeated, it's round 1. If he's already activated, he would come back in round 3. If he hasn't activated, he would actually come back in round 2. So being defeated basically takes away a turn from each character. So obstinacy says defeat the same enemy hero twice. I would have to defeat, like Korjov. Let's say he hadn't activated, he comes back next round and defeat him again at some point, and then that's how it would win through obstinacy. Then we have left breach, destroy the enemy tower on your left lane, and that makes me realize I need to get out our favorite minions and towers. Let's just get these all out on the table. So I'll use green as the enemy minions because those are typically Steven's little guys. Mine will be red. And then I'll set up these towers really quickly. And then I'll explain how that works. So each player on the 2-lane map has 2 towers. If you're familiar with a MOBA, this will make a lot of sense to you. And each of these little towers that I have represents 1 health on that tower. So when it takes 5 damage, it gets destroyed. Left breach means that if you destroy the tower on the left side, then you automatically win the game. And I'll explain how you do that in just a second, how you actually damage these towers. And then technically everyone has a nexus, which is this central zone in the back, which I'll also mark with these tokens. And if that gets destroyed, then you win the game as well. That's just the standard, that win condition is always in play. One of the interesting things about this game, or the standard 2-player version of the game, there are currently, I think, 10 win conditions. And if every time you play, you basically randomize the win conditions. So the game is not necessarily just static in terms of how you win. It's variable. So these little miniatures that I'm putting on are the minions, and they each count for a control point. So at the end of the round, each of these numbered points, so you'll see there's a 1, a 2, and a 3. Whoever controls those actually wins control of that lane, so it's 1, 2, and 3. And if you win control of the left lane or the right lane in the 2-player map, then you actually get to move the control points by how much you won by. So if you win by 3, you get to move it 3 spaces, and it always has to go towards the enemy tower in that lane. So if I win by 3, I can move this control point up to 3. You also destroy opponent's minions equal to the amount you win by. So if I win by 3, I could actually smash two of the minions. And that's how you would move that back and forth. And if the control point is within 3 of a tower and you win, you defeat minions first, but then if you still have leftover, you actually deal damage to the tower. And if you deal damage to the tower, you also get to draw a power card, which we'll talk about in a minute. We have a full tutorial that walks through all the basics in like an hour. So if you're confused on any of the rules, that's a good place to start. So I have the win conditions. I form a deck of 32 cards to be used as enemy modifiers and leads cards. And I forgot to grab this. I have something I want to do here. So PvP Geeks, one of the things they do is they make these organized play kits, and they were kind enough to send us some. It's a promo kit. I'm honestly not 100% sure with COVID how you get these right now. Previously, you could buy stuff like this on the web store, but The deck I'm building for the enemies is literally just a deck of cards for the modifiers and the icons on them. So I just want to show these. They come with the full bleed versions of the cards. So I'm literally going to use one of these decks as those modifiers. And they also come with these translucent versions of the cards in the expansion, which I think are cool. So it's fun to see. Kumaya here. And like they look really cool on the table. Just kind of have a vibrant orangish red color to them. And the as a painter, I get really excited about these because like I think you can do some really cool stuff where you basically cover up the translucent part of the plastic in certain areas and then don't prime them or paint them, and that would let the light kind of come through, which I think would be pretty sweet. So I'm going to see how many cards are in this stack because I need 32 of them. Dysphoria is saying, check out the Covenant How to Play Skytear video. It's really thorough. Yeah, we did a very thorough tutorial video. It's like 30 to 45 minutes, I think. Proto saying, first time I've ever heard of Skytear. As an average League of Legends player and owner of mechs and minions, I'm all ears. Being friends saying, I'd love some of those promo minis. It's just like skins in a regular MOBA, for sure. So literally one of these promo packs is a full 32 cards. So I'm just going to use them because it doesn't matter. One thing that is cool is that basically how you build this deck of modifiers and icons for the AI will kind of scale the difficulty. So if you did a bunch of, 3 +2 attacks and 3 icon cards in general, it would make it harder. And you could also make it easier by having more zeros or 1 icon league cards. I don't really know what is included in this stack. It's from the expansion that just came out. So I assume it's a pretty good balance of 0s and 1s and 2s and 3s and whatnot. All right, so I'm going to have that deck up here. We'll go back to basically breaking down how this works. So I set up the win conditions. I made a deck of 32 cards for the enemies. Put the enemy hero cards next to the board using the simplified side without skills. So I have those on the board technically. Visit this page from your smartphone to see the activation. So I literally, I'll just show it real quick. I'm going to have my phone off to the side. And they currently have 4 heroes in the standard outsider here. And so functionally what's going to happen, like there's this Korjoff icon. So when I click him, it's going to pull up a random card. And we'll go ahead and pop this. This is at the eyes, the enemy version of the card. And I'll break down how that works in a second. And then it says place enemy heroes as follows. And I have them placed on the board as it's recommending. When enemy heroes activate, and we'll get to the card in a second, it says you're always the first player activated in each turn. So I always go first. And then enemy heroes activate when the following events happen. When a hero declares an attack, the closest ready enemy hero within 3 hexes of the target of the attack activates. That includes the target itself. So if Yami was here and she was going to attack here and he had not activated, then he would activate. That's trigger number 1. Trigger number 2, if no enemy activated during a hero activation, when you exhaust your hero, the closest enemy hero activates. So if I went with Yami, let's say she moves here, skirmishes, and leads, no enemy would activate because there's nothing within 3. And then that means the nearest enemy would then activate. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, both of these are 5 away, I would probably randomly choose what I think is the worst option for me. If I were playing solo, that's just how I would roll with it. And then it also says when all my heroes are exhausted, activate already enemy heroes left, if any. So if I go with my last hero and there's 2 enemy heroes left, they're both going to go, is essentially what's going to happen. Now, if we say the next little section is when to resolve the activation cards. So when enemy heroes activate, reveal 1 activation from their deck by pressing the icon in the Skytear community app, which is what I just showed. And that card's still on the screen, so that's great. If the activation card is a reaction, so we look at the eyes, it does not say it is a reaction because it's got the, we'll pull that at the eyes back up on the screen. The you'll see the double arrows and the icon in the middle. That means it's a reaction. So if it is a reaction, immediately resolve the card. See below for how. If this activation was in response to your attack, the attack remains on the stack until the enemy has completed their entire activation. So if it's a reaction, it happens immediately, and that happens, but my attack that triggered them to go is still waiting to be resolved. So once it resolves, then my attack would actually happen. If the activation card is an action, which we'll get to in a second, it's flipped in response to an attack. The attack resolves, and the current activation must end before activating the enemy hero. So if you flip an action, that action basically enters the queue, and it can't resolve until your turn is basically completely up. So you get a little bit of information before you actually have to allow them to go. So you can kind of react to that. How to resolve activation cards. Activation cards consist of 2 blocks. Each block starts with a preferred target that can be either A, a dome or lane, or B, a hero. Follow the steps below to resolve each block. If the preferred target is a hero, so at the eyes, we'll make sure that's still on the screen. It says attacking hero, deal 2+ damage and apply disarm to the target. Korjaf gains fast. So if the preferred target is a hero or a dome or a lane, so it says hero here, and it would be the attacking hero. It's a reaction, so it happens immediately. So you would deal 2 damage plus a flip, so we'd flip a card, and this would be a +3. Ouch. So do 5 damage to whoever attacked it, and then it would disarm the whoever was attacking, and Korjaf would get a fast token. Then it has this second section. I'm going to walk through the example in their manual. So it says that the preferred target is a hero, and this is the ambush card, the enemy card ambush. And it's got the closest enemy hero. It says place a card face up on the target from the top of their owner's deck. Habarat gets +1 attack for each mana spent by the target. So basically grab a card from here and put it face up like I'd spin it. And then, so step 1, can you get in line of sight and attack range of the preferred hero? Yes. Move toward that hero. No. Move toward the closest hero. Let me think about that for a second. Each block starts with a preferred target that can either be a dome or a lane or a hero. All right, working through this in my brain. So can we pull up ambush, the enemy card? Okay, great. So it's a reaction. If let's say Yami was attacking Korjaf and this card flips somehow, it's yellow. Then it would say place a card face up on the target from the thing. So it says it's reaction. Can you get in line of sight and attack range of the preferred hero? So I assume when I do my attack, let's say it was arranged somehow, they would actually move towards me, and they would take a standard move of 3 spaces. And if they can move 3 spaces and be in attack range of the preferred hero, then they do move. Otherwise, they move towards the closest hero. And then step 2, attack and effects. I see Giacomo on the... there it is. He's adding notes as I'm doing this. That's hilarious. He's on the spreadsheet I'm on to clear it up. Anyways, okay. So if you can get in line of sight and attack range, then you move 3 hexes toward that hero and probably resolve the effect. If you can't, you just move 3 towards the nearest enemy. Then step 2, you resolve the effects against the hero you move towards, if possible, or fall back to minions otherwise. So does that mean like if I can't get to a hero, I then could target a minion if I could? I'm not sure what that means. It says movement priorities. When moving during step 1, meet as many conditions as possible, prioritizing top options. In range and line of sight of the target, position to best usability. Example, push target out of control area. 3, within range of the closest control token, and 4, in cover. So you just kind of do what's best for them. So let's pull up At the Eyes again. Let's say I came over, I swung at Korjoff, this flips, it immediately resolves. He deals 2 plus the top card, so 5 damage, gives me disarm, and gets fast. If I was here when I did that, he could move basically towards me, which is how he's going to mimic that. And then it has the second section, so it says farthest enemy specialist. Now, I'm going to go down, there's some more definitions here. It says keywords for qualifying lanes and heroes. Specialist is heroes with this icon on their card. So is it specifically the icon that's on Yami? Yami has this matching symbol here, which I think means they're a specialist. So there would be no specialist in the characters that they have out. Is that correct? Based on these icons? Most wounded hero is the one with the least HP remaining. Strongest lane is the one with the control token closest to your nexus. So, going back to At the Eyes, farthest enemy specialist, attack lead. So how does that resolve? The furthest enemy specialist on my side is always going to be Yami, because she's my only specialist. And side note, that basically concludes the rules. There's a few additional rules, so I'm just going to read through here real quick. When can you play reactions? Activation cards are a list of effects. Before each effect is resolved, you can play reaction power cards. So like At the Eyes is a list of effects. So deal the damage and apply disarm to the target. Korjoff gains fast. So each of those is its own step, and I can play reactions before and after those steps. How the enemy activates the outsider. Flip a card from the outsider deck via the app. For each block, place the outsider following the preferred targeting rules, then resolve all the effects in order. I'll go ahead and click on one just so we can see what it looks like. It's the gray crippling shot from the outsider stack. Most wounded enemy hero. Attack, apply slow and disarm to the target. Weakest lane, defeat an enemy minion in line of sight. So I assume you would actually place it, because it can be placed wherever. It has to be, like the standard outsider has to be placed along the dome. But basically where it could attack most wounded enemy hero. And then you would potentially replace it and defeat an enemy minion in the weakest lane. We'll see if Giacomo confirms that in the chat. When one of your heroes is defeated, the enemy hero... Oh, we're getting more text here. This is fun. When one of your heroes is defeated, the enemy hero that is activating, if any, will not exhaust at the end of their activation. This means they'll eventually activate a second time this turn. So if an enemy activates and defeats one of my heroes, they do not exhaust. Help me remember that, because that's not how it normally works. When one of the enemy heroes respawns, place the respawning enemy hero adjacent to their nexus in their weakest lane, the one with the control token closest to their nexus. Additional rules, enemies can spawn minions into the domes with activation cards. That's crazy. The effects of the activation cards last until the end of the current activation. Psychic Shield will prevent 5 damage from the non-attack portion of activation cards. At the end of your turn 5, you lose. No draws. Sorry. Better hurry up. So you basically have 5 turns to get it done. All right, let's go back. Let's go to chat. Giacomo's saying, I can confirm the outsider works like you said. All right, cool. Joseph saying Yami is getting hit a lot then. Okay, cool. Well, I'm first player, so we're just gonna take it as we go. First player draws 6 cards these days, and I'm using Tim's deck, so I'm gonna see cards that I haven't ever seen before. And Yami's back here. All right, and there is no Skytear Flux, I believe, in this version of the game. Well, this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to activate Yami. Doesn't trigger any of the heroes because they're not within 3. And she is going to... This is Tim's aggressive list. What's my goal here? Defeat the same enemy twice. All right, let's look at the enemies. Not much armor. Who has the least health? Korjov. He's my target. What up, Ben? Appreciate the note you sent us and the gift. Jay Rutley saying, no pressure, Zach. It's okay if I lose. Let's maintain my plan. It's kind of interesting. So if they win this side, I just lose the game. That's not good for business. I'm gonna actually go with Nelliclin. He's gonna move. So when you get 3 actions for each time you activate a hero. Move is one of them. You can move 3 spaces, which I've done. Then he's gonna attack, and so he's gonna attack the minion that's nearest. So he's got a 3 plus I flip the top card plus 2. He does 5 damage to that minion. Tim's probably wincing over there because I'm actually doing something to the dome instead of just murdering things. And then he moved, attacked, and then we'll worship here and get a worship token down. So when that happens, you can read, discard all face-up power cards on Nelliclin's hero power card when he worships that Heart of the Claims. He may play power cards as though they were in the same pillar as the same hex as the removed pillar. So when he's... Okay, so he worships, he gets to place a pillar. You can also remove a pillar. So if you remove a pillar to place a pillar, then you can trigger this, which is he can clear the power cards attached to him. And then also, he's got this Archaic Mastery, so he can play power cards regardless of the runes required, so the colors. If you look up top, he's got blue and green. And there are cards like Clear Mind that are red. So he can play those cards as long as he can see a pillar. Giacomo, okay, that makes sense because Tim face palming. So it's not when I thought it said, I mean, you wrote the rules, so. Okay. When your hero declares an attack, for in my head, for some reason, it was when I activated. I just totally read that wrong. So before I worship, when I activate, Habarat is actually going to get a card. So let's get into this. Habarat's first card is Lifesteal, most wounded enemy hero. So he's going to move towards the enemy hero that has the least amount of health, which is Nelliclin. So he's literally going to move 1 space, and he's going to be there. When Habarat damages an enemy, he heals the same amount of HP. He attacks. So Habarat is now going to attack me, which is here. So he gets 4 plus 2 cards, and I assume I'll take his best, which is a +1, this Triumph of Light. Let me slide these over. So it's going to be 5 damage to Nelliclin. So I'm going to take 5. And he would technically have healed 5 off of that. Closest control token, which is here, he would then move towards it up to 3, and then he gets to lead. So we're going to put a card face down under Habarat, who is now activated. Like that. Did I do that right, Giacomo? Dysphoria, happy to be here. He's saying playing solo rules for the first time is hard, guys. Kudos to Zach for doing this. Happy to be here. Really glad Giacomo's here to answer my questions. Okay, Giacomo's saying you move toward the control token. So he would move towards it either way. And that is putting him next to it and in cover. So I assume that would be where it would go. But then he's activated. So this is going to be an interesting feel. Cool. All right, and in cover, that is correct. So then I'll just worship here. And I have played very little with green, but I assume I'm doing this right. When you worship, you can take away a pillar and also add a pillar. And then this says, if I discard a pillar, I can remove the power cards from Neliclin. And while he is within 3 of it, he can use that Archaic Mastery to play cards of any color. Is all that correct? I'm going to let this clear. I want to make sure I'm doing that right before I get too far. Giacomo's saying yes. All right, great. So I took my turn, they activated, and it's still just me. I'm playing solo. I forget, I'm in my head, it's like, all right, it's time for them to go. All right, so when I attack, they activate. That's kind of interesting. Makes you want to, like, the positioning is definitely different on this. All right, let me look at my hand real quick. See what I want to even try to be doing. Interesting. I want to save that. Well, I'm going to go with Yami. She's going to activate. Let me read the rules real quick. So the enemies activate when my hero declares an attack, if no enemy activated during my activation, or after all my heroes are exhausted. So I'm going to go with Yami. She's going to go move. Then she's going to skirmish, which is she can move one, and do a skirmish attack. So I'm going to move 1, do a skirmish attack, which is a 0 plus the top card of my deck, which is 2, to Korjov, who has no armor. And then I can move again, and I won't. So then Yami is actually just going to attack. So I attack, which means Korjov is going to activate. Am I correct in that? Yes, closest ready enemy hero within 3 hexes, which is Korjov. So Korjov's going to activate. I'm going to click on the app on Korjov. He gets Strength of the Pack. Farthest enemy specialist, which is only Yami. So he doesn't have to move because he's already next to her in cover. Then he attacks. So Korjov is going to do 3 plus the top card, which is a +0. So Yami will take 3, but she's got an armor. So I'll only take 2. And then deal 1 damage to the target for each minion in their line of sight. That's 4 minions. I'll deal 3 damage to me because of my armor. Then the closest lane. I assume closest lane he would move towards the control token. Is that right? Oh, take 1 more because Korjov's a mage. 2 technically because his power card counts as well. Ouch. What a wicked Strength of the Pack. So then would he move? Gets his closest lane? Okay. So 1, 2, can't end in cover and be next to it. I assume he'd want to be away from me. How mean. And then he leads. Brutal. Okay, so if possible, being within 3 of that and in cover is preferable. But if he is moving towards it every chance he gets, he ends up here. So you're saying, no, never mind, not in cover. Okay, so that makes sense. So you basically move towards it, and if you have the option to end in cover, you do. But you don't go out of your way for it. I think we're still good. So then the attack I initiated with Yami that was attempting to do something about that doesn't resolve. Which is brutal. So that's Yami's turn. And an enemy did activate, so I get to go again. Oh, Giacomo was saying that's correct. This is important. So strength of the pack, if we pull that back up, it's already on the screen. It's an action. It has the 1 arrow on it, which means I actually resolve my turn fully before that happens. So I was in the middle of an attack. I don't have any actions left, but technically if I had an action left, I could like move out of the way or something. So that's a really good reason to potentially attack earlier in the turn than later. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the attack with Yami, which is a 2 plus the top card. It's a +3. So we're going to do 5 to Korjov. He's down to 7. And then Strength of the Pack would trigger. Then it would be back to me. Cool. Well, let's... I mean, this is so fascinating. I actually totally get it. I'm excited about this mode now. I immediately am appreciating it. Because like at this point... there's 2 enemy characters that haven't gone yet. And I would kind of like the old bear man to go so that he can't mess with Hokusai when Hokusai goes, because I'm trying to get Korjov off the table. So part of me is like, Zakol wants to come in and just swing at the bear, so the bear has to swing back and activate. And then I can do Hokusai knowing that he can't really be messed with from Akuti. Which is not, this is not normal. This is not what I would normally do, I think, in almost any instance. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to go with Zakol. This was not my original plan. Oh, you know what, though? I have to be careful about that lane. Yeah, can't go with my original plan. So I'm going to go with Zakol. And he's going to move 1, 2, 3. And then he's going to worship. So we're going to take this token, get rid of it, and move it here. And then with the one I removed, if you look at Zakol's ability, deal 1+ damage to an enemy minion adjacent to the removed pillar. So it's 1 plus a 2. We're going to do 3 damage to this minion. And then as my last action, I'm going to go ahead and lead with a card from Zakol. I won't put it down. I will put it down because it would get confusing. And then I end my turn. Because an enemy didn't activate, they activate. Then the closest enemy activates. So it's going to be Akuti. Akuti's going to go. We're going to go ahead and click the app. Blasting Sun. It's a reaction. It's happening. Attacking hero. There was no attacking hero. So does that mean the active hero? Is that really what that should say? I'm going to wait for a confirmation from Giacomo. What are you guys thinking so far? I think this is really clever. I could really get into this. Giacomo's saying the fallback becomes the closest hero. Yeah, it can make sense to, if that said active hero, or the activating, or some version of that. Anyways, so apply disarm to all enemies. So first attack, it's going to move, and it's next to me. Apply disarm to all enemies in line of sight. Akuti gains fast. So it's just the Cole. Can't see Necklin because that's in cover. Then Akuti also gets a fast token. Then the weakest lane. So I believe weakest lane is neither right now. Let me find it. Because strongest lane is the one with the control token close to the nexus. Weakest lane, like if I were just taking a spitball at it, that one's going to be the weakest because there's less minions there. Okay, so Giacomo's saying weakest is neither because they're equidistant from the control points. So it's just the closest one. Push 1 hex all enemy heroes in line of sight. So push all enemy heroes in line of sight 1 hex. Zakol's going to slide back 1. Attack. Where's Akuti? Here. 2 range. So the only one character I can see is Zakol. So it's attack of 2 plus a flip. 2 plus a 0 to Zakol. Zakol has 1 armor, so he'll take 1. And then lead. So we'll lead from the top rope on Akuti. And then she's activated. I believe I did that correct. Oh. So yeah, Akuti is going to move closer to the control token first. So would it be here? Would she move all the way into cover? And then Zakol would have been here? Or does she end next to the control token? Does she move all 3 if she can, or once you connect with it, you stop? Edward asking, how is it translating to solo? Good so far. I think it's very clever. I'm going to play it again after this first run through, I think, depending on what time it is. It looks like we'll have time. So you're saying Akuti, basically, once you connect with that control token, you stop. Okay, so Akudian's there. Zakol was here. He's still in line of sight. Pushing now goes 1. So Zakol actually gets pushed out of the dome, which is potentially very bad news for me. Because I have 1 character over there. They have 2 lead cards. I am ahead by 1 by default because of the minions, so that's an interesting problem. Let's see if I have anything fancy to do. No, I think I'm going to stay committed to the bloodthirst here. I'm going to move with Hokusai. I'm going to skirmish with Hokusai here. We're going to flip. This is a skirmish, so 0 plus 2. Cordell's going to take 2. Then Hokusai is going to attack. Gilburn is still around, so I'll flip a card for him. And he gets presence. Ugh, the worst. Closest enemy with lead. So the closest enemy with a lead card is Zakol. It's going to move towards him. I like this. Then he's going to attack, which his attack is a 3 plus a card. It's plus 2. So 5 damage coming at Zakol. He's got armor. He's going to take 4. Then reveal leads from all enemy heroes in line of sight. Discard all 3 and 2 mana cards revealed. Brutal. It was a 3, and now it's gone. Closest dome. He's already in the dome. Heal him 3 hit points. I don't think he's taking any damage. Nope. Spawn 1. So I assume this is what happens. Fiends. Oh, he is in line of sight control token. The control token should have been here. I had that wrong. So then technically Akuti would stop here. And then I think Habarat would have stopped here. Is that correct? Thanks for that catch, not it. Oh, presence is an action. So none of that happens until, I'm getting tripped up on that, until Hokusai finishes his attack. So it's a 2 plus a 2, 4 damage, down to 1. That's actually the worst. but I have a way to finish the job. So it's still Hokusai's turn. I'm going to play Shield Slam. Cost 1. You have resources equal to the turn counter, so there's 1 resource per hero. Apply slow to a target adjacent enemy and deal piercing damage to them equal to the caster's armor value. My armor value is 2. I'm going to deal 2 piercing damage to Korjoff. You'll attach cards that you use like this. The rune here is how many resources it takes them. So I'm actually going to defeat Korjoff. He's already activated this turn, so he won't come back till turn 3. When you defeat a hero, you draw power cards. I believe you draw 2, but I could be wrong in that. 1,000 subscribers with no videos asking, lore-wise, is Skytear magic? It reminds me of like Avatar, The Last Airbender, where you have the different elements and they each have ways of manipulating those elements, and there is a magical component, but it's not quite the same. Okay, yeah, Jackma's saying you draw 2, as per usual. So here's a question for you, Jackma. Does Psychic Shield, are all of these things that are doing damage to me preventable by Psychic Shield? Because that seems like a really good solo card if so. Let's see if there's any cards I can just use to use. I don't think so. Jackma's saying all the damage except for the attack portion. So attacks create their own little attack instances. I get it. Okay, so Hokusai is gone. It is now the end of the round. So a few things are going to happen. First, we'll start with the control points. We'll start with number 1. I have 2 heroes and 2 minions. My enemy has no heroes and no minions. So, and Korjoff's gone, so this lead card doesn't matter. So I win by 2. I will destroy 2 minions. And if I destroy minions, do I still move the control point? I'm forgetting. And then each side basically will spawn 2 additional minions here. Chagma says, I missed the question. So I won by 2 in this lane. I destroyed 2 minions. Do I still move the control point? I'm forgetting. Yes, great. But now the minions don't move. That was a rule update. So the minions stay where they're at. But the newly spawned minions, and I'm going to spawn them in what I think is the best position for them, for the enemy, which will happen to be the same for me. Eddie's saying, I'm very intrigued. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far. Yeah, I'm a fan of what's happening here. In this other dome, there are 2 lead cards, so I'm going to look at both and choose the best one. There's a 1 and a 2, so we're going to take the 2. They have 2 heroes and no minions plus 2 for lead, so that's 4. To my 3 total, 2 minions and 1 hero. So they win by 1, so they'll destroy 1 of my minions, and we'll move this 1. And then we're each going to spawn 2 more minions. And again, I'm basically going to spawn in the locations that I think are best for them when I'm spawning for them. You have to spawn 1 on the Nexus if it's an option for you. Okay, and then we go to the middle dome. It's 2 to 1 because they now have a minion. So they're actually going to win the dome. So we're going to click the outsider and see what comes up. The defender, in the weakest lane, they're going to attack. So I'm not sure how to resolve this. So the weakest lane is the one where they are it's the closest to their dome. So my presumption is something like this is where I would spawn it. And then it's going to attack, and it's going to default to Yami because she's the nearest enemy. And assuming that's the case, it has a 3 attack, so it's a 3 plus a boost of 0. So Yami with 1 armor is going to take 2. And then we'll keep reading down the card. Deal 0 plus damage to the target closest minion. So that would be here. It's 0 plus 2, so that's actually going to defeat the minion. Then in the weakest lane, which is still here, push target control token 2 hexes towards the enemy nexus. Giacomo's saying, wait, the focus is on the lane, so the attack would go to the minions instead. So we'll just knock this minion off. And then Yami will gain back 2 health. That's what you're saying? And then reading this card, push this 2. So it's right back to where it started. How brutal. Fiends. Then we ready everything. Any resources that were spent on a character go to the discard pile. And then we draw 2 power cards. And I have more than 6, so I'm going to have to discard. Definitely keeping you and you. Joseph Kane saying losing the dome hurts. Yes, that was a painful exchange for me. All right, let's go ahead and go with Yami because she's hurting pretty bad, and it'll basically activate a character and potentially make a character come at her. My win condition, I'm trying to win an obstinacy. The turn goes to turn 2, so we're 2 resources per character. I basically want Korjov to spawn, and then I want to dogpile on Korjov and try to take him out in a single round. So at this point, I'm ultimately going to just try not to lose the dome over here and set myself up to be able to attack. So I'm going to go with Yami. She's going to move. 1, 2, 3. When she goes through that minion, she has her Deathly Touch. The first time Yami moves through a minion, each activation deal 1 damage plus a card to it. So 1 plus 2 is 3. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that minion. Then she's going to attack this minion. I'm going to activate the nearest enemy, which is Gilbrun. Let's click on his little button on the app. He gets Majestic Roar, and I'm going to start noting this. It's a reaction, so it's going to happen immediately. As close to as many enemies. So he's going to try to move into a position where he's as close to the most number of enemies. And, you know, honestly, I think where he's at is he can't get closer to more enemies. Oh, yeah, that's right. So I'm going to use blue as the counters for the bad guys, the AI, on Tactician. They won 2 domes. And I'm going to use red for mine. I won 1. And that's it. So would he move anywhere at this point? I don't think so. It says push 2 hexes, all enemies within 3. So within, do you have to be able to see within? Well, Giacomo, does this count as next to both of them? I thought outside the dome meant that didn't count. I guess he's closer. 2 enemies within 3 hexes. Within doesn't require line of sight. Okay. Push enemies within 3, 2 hexes. So I assume I want to try to keep him in the dome so that I can follow up and do my thing. So closest enemy hero in the dome on this card is you attack and lead. So I assume it would move, attack, lead. So move to Zakol. We'll go ahead and attack. This is a 3 plus a 2, so 5 on Zakol, -1 for armor. And then lead on Bearman. All right, great. I believe I got that correct. So Yami is still just attacking. Yami is going to attack for a 2+2, 4 damage to this minion. And then she will actually go ahead and lead from the top of the deck. And because the bear activated, I get to go again. I believe I did all that right. I'm getting the hang of it. I think there's some ethos that once you understand this is how it's functioning, it all makes a lot more sense. Now I need to not lose that dome. I also do not like Nelliclin being right there next to Habarat. Does Akuti have any armor? No, she doesn't. 16. It doesn't really matter. I just need to defeat Korjoff when he comes back into the game. That is my game here. All right, let's go with Nicole. He's got that disarm token, so his next attack is halved. He's going to skirmish 1, 2, and hit Akuti with a 1. And then he's going to attack. Actually, he's going to worship. We're going to destroy this pillar and place a pillar over here. When I do that, I get to destroy a minion. So I'll grab that was next to the moved pillar. Then as my last action, I'm going to attack the minion that I'm next to. So Akuti is the nearest one to me. Akuti's going to activate. We'll get an Akuti card. Nourish, most wounded friendly hero. So she would move towards the most wounded friendly hero, which is herself. Heal 4+ HP. So 4+0. So she's just going to go right back up to 16. Then the closest lane, she can't get any closer to the control token. Spawn a minion, and if this is not the strongest lane, spawn an additional minion. So we'll spawn a minion. Best location, doesn't really matter. It is the strongest lane, because it's the closest to me, so it's the strongest lane. Then it would spawn an additional minion. That's fine, but it's still going to lead, which is the next line, because each line is its own piece of code, basically. And that's Akuti. Oh my goodness, what do we have here?
It's called a young man's cocktail.
A young man's cocktail. All right, well, this is Rafe, everybody. You can wave. A huge fan of Skytear, part of our ops team, responsible for shipping all the orders. Not all of them, but all of them right now, specifically when Robert's gone. We're working on a project for the local store, experimenting with a lot of cocktails, because that might be something we offer in the what we call 3.0. You said this is called the what?
Young man's cocktail.
Young man's cocktail. I'm excited. He's one of those fancy cherries.
Right, that's why I made it.
That's why we're here. Being Friend says, Rafe! Giacomo, Zach, for future reference, only the closest ready hero within 3 hexes of the target of the attack will activate. Oh, really? That's good. Reading the rules is important. So when I attacked with Yami, nothing would have happened. But then the closest hero would have been the one that activated anyway after I was done. Is that right? I'm going to sip on this for a second. It wasn't the drink that did it. I breathed in right before I took a drink. It was a bad idea. Who knew drinking could be so hard? Does that make sense, Giacomo? Like, timing may matter, but I activated, and because it wasn't within 3 of the attack, the closest enemy still would have been the one to activate. So Akuti went, did some work. I moved, worshipped, attacked. Got it. So the bear is gone, Akuti's gone. Korjoff is defeated, so he's not going to get to go. There's just one left. I like the idea of getting Nelliclin out of there. At least not immediately next to Habarat. That's just dangerous. So I'm going to go Nelliclin. Nelliclin is going to skirmish on Habarat. It's a 3. I don't think this damage is going to matter so much, but I just want to get over here. And then let's think about this. I'm going to lead from hand with Nelliclin. And the Nelliclin is going to worship. And I'm not going to destroy a pillar. I'm just going to place one here. So I have extra pillars floating around. Okay, so then the nearest, the only enemy is going to go Habarat. Let's see what Habarat gets. All right, slice and dice. It's an action, so if it was the middle of my turn, I would get a finish. I love that art. Closest enemy hero. So technically, that is Zakol. He's going to try to move towards Zakol, and he can't move through heroes. So tell me if I'm wrong, Giacomo. Technically, he could move straight up to Nelliclin and do his thing. But Nelliclin's not the closest. So would he just like kind of move around here? Otherwise, Nelliclin's about to get his clock cleaned, which is fine. Giacomo's saying basically the closest he can reach, so that's a bummer. Is there any way for me to stop that? Okay, so he's going to go 1, 2. And then he gets +2 anytime he damages an enemy. So he's going to attack Nelliclin with his 4 + 2 cards. So it's going to be 6. Then he gets +2 because he damaged me. He attacks again. So 4 + 2, 6 more. He's going to defeat me, and something special happens when he defeats one of my heroes. The enemy that is activated, if any, will not exhaust at the end of their activation. This means they will eventually go a second time this turn. Ugh, gross. Gross. Okay, so then we'll keep reading the slice and dice card. Second closest enemy hero. So is it the second closest now, or the second closest when the card was revealed? Because the second closest now is a mile away. And he can't technically get... Okay, second closest now, which is Hokusai. So he's going to move 2 hexes. And then attack. It can't be the previously targeted, whoever you were previously targeting. So he moves there, and then his turn's done. But he's still active. Someone did activate, so now I get to go with Hokusai, but then Habarat's going to get to go. And as we've seen, Habarat is a beast. So Hokusai... I'm basically, because when a minion spawns, they spawn on the weakest side, which is definitely going to be over here. So Korjov's going to be in one of these 2 spots. I'm going to get to go first. So there's part of me that wants to go contest the dome. But if I go do that, then Habarat's going to get a swing at me pretty good, which is fine. Because I'm here, I'm still 1, 2, no. 1, 2, 3. Skirmish move. No. I don't think, I think I just give up the dome, as weird as that is. So I'm going to move with, actually. I'm going to go with Hokusai. He's going to move. Then we're going to worship, and we're going to go ahead and mark. Let's go bear, which is going to be, if we look at Hokusai, he deals, loses 1 plus HP to deal the same amount of damage. So it's 1 plus 2 is 3. He loses 3, and he does 3 to the bear. which has 1 armor, so it's only going to be 2. And then he will skirmish out of the dome, and we'll just hang out there. So then Hopperout's going to go, and we'll click on his little card, and he gets Blades of Lightning as close as many enemies. So I think it's as close to as many enemies with a movement of 3. I mean, I think technically it's like here. He's 3 away from Zakol and 4 away from 2, 3. Yeah, he can only be next to 1 enemy, so we'll just go there. It says Hopperout attacks. Attack actions hit all enemies within 3 hexes, which right now is Zakol. So he'll attack with a 4 plus 2, so it's 6, and Zakol has an armor. And then closest control token. So he's going to move back here, and then Hopperout heals 3. The close control token is the dome. And when he moves, apparently you move 3 regardless. Right? Is that what you're saying? So you move 3 for each block no matter what. But like earlier, I stopped at the control token. So do you stop when you get to the thing you're trying to reach? Slide this up a little bit. Giacomo's saying, yes, you always move. What up, Logan? Good to hear from you, man. I am excited to see you guys again. Giacomo's saying, yes, you're as close as possible. What has piercing, Joseph? Logan, yeah, we are closed down at the store. We've been closed since March, but we've been doing daily streams and operating online still. But most people on staff are working from home, and we're trying to be as safe as we can about it, while also, keeping people employed and whatnot. The support we've been receiving from people watching and buying stuff from us online has been tremendous. So we're ultimately doing well, but it's obviously been a crazy year. Okay, I'm gonna carry on. So that is the end of the round. So we'll go. Sorry to hear that, Logan. I'm glad to know you're popping in. I will definitely have to catch up once all this is over. Would love to grab coffee. So we'll start with the first control token. I have 4 plus a lead card plus a 3. That was off the top of my deck. So there's no enemy minions to defeat, but it is going to go all the way here. And then I'll spawn 2 more minions. And any minions not within 3. So those are both going to stay. And then we'll go to token number 2. I have Zakol and 3 minions against Akuti and 2 minions. So I'm ahead by 1. I have no... Oh, Neliclin's gone, so I don't have any control cards. Akuti does have a control card, so I'm ahead by 1. So we tie, because there was 1 committed there. So nothing happens. It doesn't move, no minions are defeated. Giacomo saying, remember to spawn enemy minions in lane 1. You're absolutely correct. So then we spawn minions again, as close as we can to that dome, or to the control point. Good catch, Joseph. Hokusai's worship is piercing, so the bear would have taken an extra damage. Okay, then we go to lane 3. I'm losing 3 to 1, so I lose it. We'll click on the outsider, and it says Smelt Armor action. Most armored enemy hero, which is Hokusai, who's right next to him. The outsider gains +1 attack and piercing, so it's a 4 damage attack with a flip. Make it 5 on Hokusai. Manelaclin activated, so he's not coming back this round. Then most wounded enemy hero, which is going to be the Cole. So Outsider's going to move here. Deal 0+ damage and push the target 2 hexes. So 0+1. But I have an armor, so nothing's going to happen. And then I can't be pushed because there's minions in the way, I believe. So that'll be the end of the Outsider activation. We'll read everything. In the middle, the bear actually had a commitment card, so +3. And Akuti moved, so she was fast, so that went away as well. We'll move to round 3. Kordjaf comes back, and he goes into the lane that is the weakest for his side. I controlled 1 here. The enemy controlled 2. Actually 1, because we tied in lane 2. And I believe that's the turn. So, back around to me. Kordjaf's health is coming back fully. Where'd the Kordjaf? There he is. And his health is what? 14. So now I need to do 14 to him. Oh, I draw 2. I have to discard 1 because I'm going to go with Yami. She's going to move. I'm going to try to finish this thing. She's going to play Kneel Before Me, which is her ultimate. Cost 3. We're on turn 3. Deal 4 damage and apply slow to a target enemy hero. So I'm going to do a 4 to Kordjaf. And he's going to be slow, so he can't run. And then it says, place the target adjacent to Yami. Let's go right there. And we'll mark him. So now, even if he had an army, he'd be -1. I still have 2 actions left. Let's go ahead and attack Kordjaf. So Kordjaf's going to go ahead and activate. We'll click on his little card. And he gets Bewitch. So it's an action, so it won't happen until after I'm done with Yami. But it says Farthest Enemy Specialist, which is Yami. Kordjaf, when he damages an enemy, he spawns a minion. He gets to attack. Then in the closest lane, deals 0+ to the closest target minion, repeats this effect. So he's not going to go anywhere. My attack's going to keep on keeping. I'm at 2. I'm going to go ahead and play a Clear Mind on Yami. If I get +1, so I'm going to be at a 3 plus a flip. 3 plus 2 puts me at 5 damage. And then I'm going to drop all my cards. Then I will go ahead and worship to mark Kordjaf and do 1+ damage. So 1 + 1 is going to be 2 more. Down to 3 health. Then that's my turn. So Kordjaf now gets to activate Bewitch Farthest Enemy Specialist, which is Yami. When he attacks an enemy, spawn a minion. He attacks, so he's going to be a 3 plus a card. 3 plus 2 for 5 on Yami. And he is a mage, so he's going to do 5 and eat through that armor. And then he spawns a minion when that happens. Then the closest lane, which is the one he's in, he's already next to the control point. Deal 0+ to a target closest minion, then repeat this effect. So this one here, it's going to be 0 + 2, he's gone. Then the next one is 0 + 2, he's also gone, defeating 2 minions. And then it's back to me. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Hokusai, because if I can deal 3 damage to Kordjaf, I win the game, which is my kind of math. So he will go ahead and worship again. It's 1+ damage to both him and the target. 1 + 2, 3 damage. I take 3. I defeat an enemy for the 2nd time, and I clear the obstinacy victory condition, winning on turn 3. So let's talk about solo for a second. And I'll answer your question, Metroplex. Metroplex asking, what deck am I using for the flips? So in the instructions, it says you can basically build a deck of 32 cards, and the only thing that matters about them are the icons, the runes, and the modifiers. So they actually sent us, PvP Geeks, some of the OP kits. So I was using the Stormseer promo kit, which comes with alternate orange models of the two characters, Kumaya, and I forget the shield guy's name. But it comes with a 32 card deck, so I just literally opened that up and used it. And these don't have any text on them, which actually kind of makes them perfect for solo mode modifier decks. Pick your favorite art, put them in the deck, and you can scale the difficulty based on that. How many 3 runes, how many +2 and +3 attacks are on there. Giacomo's saying Core Drop is the most defeated enemy in Skytear history. So, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try that again, but I'd be curious to know what everyone thought. I thought this worked surprisingly well. There were definitely some moments of like even while I was reading the rules, Giacomo was changing some things about them. So there are definitely some moments where I didn't quite understand the system / the intuitiveness of it wasn't 100% clear, but by the end of it, I feel like it made a lot of sense. Like just the reality that each section, how those work, how the movement works when you're moving towards things. I thought it was really, ultimately, really clever. And it's definitely not the same thing as playing against like a human, of course. There's just a randomness to it that is different. But at the same time, like it did a pretty good job of giving me a taste of what it would feel like to be playing against those enemies. So I think it's super cool. And again, like I said earlier, the reality that you can essentially, where's Akudia? That the developers can basically tweak this as they want and add new cards that you've never seen before at will. I think that's super cool. There's a lot of room here to play. Dysphoria is saying that was a surprisingly straightforward for a solo mode coming from a Mage Knight and Cloudspire player. Yeah, I can imagine. Metroplex asking Giacomo, is there a solo deck coming? Dysphoria saying, whoop, now do it in hard mode. So what's the difference between this and hard mode? Joseph Kane saying, once you get the priority down, it becomes really smooth. Yeah, I think understanding the priority of the AI and how to interpret these cards is really important. Being Francis, I like Mage Knight too. I just wanted to say hi. Yeah, we played Mage Knight on the stream not that long ago. It's a good game. All right. I shuffled up. We reset. Let me make sure. Let me look at this again just to make sure these enemies are where they recommend them to start. So I think that's right. No, it can't be. There it is. So basically, the range heroes in the trees, and then the melee heroes are in the dome. I get it. I'm with it. I see why you did that. Dysphoria saying I should say Mage Knight the board game. Never tried the miniatures game. Giacomo saying we're trying to focus more on the standalone solo co-op game because it's coming out great as we started from a blank sheet, essentially. Yeah, I think that's probably... Oh, Giacomo's saying we looked into printing a deck, but we hadn't committed to it yet. Maybe in Q2. And they're focusing on that other version of the game, which I think is super cool for them to do. Great stuff. I mean, this is really cool to see. And I think a great way to add more value to the current players and also expand the pool of people that might be interested in this. We had a ton of people in chat saying they were interested because of the solo mode. So they should be excited to know that multiple solo modes are in the works. All right, I'm first player. We can dive right in. That's the coolest part of this. Nelican, come back. Okay, well, I'm going to go with Hokusai. He's going to move. Skirmish. We're going for the same thing. Oh, I need a hand of cards. Brandover asking, does Team Covenant sell Skytear? Funny you should ask. Not funny, but worth mentioning. So we have a subscription for Skytear, and it's the exclusive way to pre-order stuff online that's coming out in the future for the game. The release schedule is roughly once a quarter. Something's coming out, expected to be in the $25 to $50 range, depending on what's coming out. But you can sign up and automatically receive everything going forward. But anything that's previously released, you can either get on the Skytear website directly or from like a local retailer if they're stocking it. So the Skytear website has it all available, so you can order that. I recommend the core set if you're going to start. It's a great place to start. It's $70, but it comes with a ton of content. The board is great value. And then if you're really interested, there's a faction-based expansion for each of the 4 factions. And so that's a really good place to start. The core set plus all 4 of those. That's going to get you the bulk of the game. There's been other stuff come out since then. But that's a phenomenal place to start if you're wanting to check it out. Giacomo is saying maybe change victory conditions. You know what? That's actually pretty smart. Let's just randomize the victory conditions. So there's 10 victory conditions essentially. So before I go swinging it, Korjov, let's see what happens. So this is the list Tim used, my brother, to win the World Championship recently. And if there's a aggressive win condition that flips, that's typically what he's going for. It's really amazing to watch. Giacomo saying, except for hunting for power. What are you going to do about that? Are you going to get rid of hunting for power? Is it really too much? Let's see what we get. Invasion. Starting from the second turn, have 2 control tokens adjacent to the enemy towers or nexus at the end of the turn. So basically, if you can get both of these next to their tower, you win the game. Next up, we get double kill. Defeat 2 enemy heroes within a single duration of a single hero activation. So similar but different to the one I got last time. Giacomo is saying we are going to make it a little more difficult, very likely. And then we get Tactician again. Win the lead of a control token 6 times. So this is definitely a different vibe, which is cool. One of the best parts of this game is that you have the win conditions changing every game. That completely changes how each game goes. And having played a lot of games that don't have that, that's definitely one of the hallmarks of this game that makes the playability of it just so extremely high. All right, draw my initial hand. Technically get a mulligan. You can discard any cards you want and keep the rest. So I will do that. I'm basically looking for 1-cost cards I would actually play and 3-cost cards that I can commit as lead cards for control points. All right. So now I need to get 2 heroes very low and then finish them off on the same turn. So Korjov's still high on my list. So I'll start with the same play. We're going to move with Hokusai, and then he's going to skirmish. So we're going to flip 2 damage. And then I'm going to swing at Korjov. So we'll flip a Korjov card. He gets Featherstorm. It's a reaction, so it's going to happen immediately. Most wounded enemy hero is going to be Nelican. He's going to try to move towards Nelican. Here. Place Korjov adjacent to the target. Can he target if he can't see? Also, Giacomo, is it crazy having someone play this live? Not just your game, but also this version of the game where I can just immediately ask you things that are confusing to me. Giacomo's saying he moves towards Hokusai instead because he can't get there. Okay. So he's next to Hokusai. I assume he doesn't move. Apply disarm to the target. That's a bummer. Giacomo's saying it's crazy useful. Yeah. Disarm to the target. Attack. So Korjov's going to attack me for a 3. Plus, let me shuffle this deck. I did shuffle it. 3 plus 0. And Kordjoff is a mage, so he's going to get through my armor. Closest dome, which is here, so he's going to move. Now, closest dome, does that mean this? Or is it closest control point? And then lead. So we'll just grab a lead card. Where he ends up might change. It's the middle. He's going to go right to the middle of the dome and lead. It was a reaction. I tried to attack. It fails. But if I'm disarmed when I try to attack, does the disarm go away? I'm curious. I'm learning so much. It's so... I can't imagine trying to learn this without having the developer in the chat to answer my questions. I'm also not great at like reading rules and getting them right. Jackmo says yes because you exhaust. So I exhaust and immediately get rid of that this time. So at least there's some silver lining there. So I moved, skirmished, attack, failed. Kordjoff went, so I get to go again. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Yami. She's going to skirmish and flip on Kordjoff for 2. Then she's going to attack Kordjoff. Kordjoff's already activated, so he can't. But the next closest to me is Gilbert, the bear. Da bears. He's going to flip a bodyguard. It's a reaction that happens immediately. He's targeting the attacking hero, so he moves to it. He gains fast. So let's give him fast. After moving, I presume. And is the new target of the attack action, if possible. He also attacks the target, so we're going to go 3 plus 0. Yami has an armor, so she'll take 2. Then closest dome, which he's already in the dome next to the middle. Heal him 3. He's already full health. And lead. And he didn't move. So the fast typically would have made him get back to the dome, basically, which is pretty brutal. And then Yami's still attacking, but she has to attack Gilbert now because of the card. So it's a 2 plus flip. So 4. Does he have any armor? Yep, he has 1 armor. So it's only going to be 3. And he's kind of immediately becoming my second target. So I skirmished, attacked. And I'm going to go ahead and mark. So we'll apply a mark to him. And Yami's ability is, first time place Yami adjacent to the marked hero. So I'm actually going to have her flip around here. And then I flip a 1 plus. 1 plus 2 is 3. He typically has armor, but Hokusai says marked enemies in Hokusai's line of sight have -1 armor. I can't see through the dome, so that doesn't apply. So he'll actually take 2, and that'll be the end of Yami's activation. And then he went, so I get to go again. I like the idea of not being within 3 of Habarat. You know what I mean? Because then it's going to be harder for him to attack me. So I'm going to go ahead and skirmish with Nelliklin. And we're going to go ahead and hit Kordjoff because he doesn't have any armor. So it's 2. And then I'm going to move. I'm going to attack the bear with Nelliklin. So it's a 3 plus 2. So 5 minus 1. Get him down to 9. And Habarat's not within 3, so he's not going to activate yet, but he will. So I moved, or I skirmished, moved, attacked. That'll be into my activation. And then the closest enemy is going to activate. So this is Habarat. Let's see what he gets. Unstoppable. It's cool seeing these cards in the wrong color. That's so clever. Good on you. Most wounded enemy hero. That's a tie between Hokusai and Nelliklin. So it'll be the closest of those two, which is going to be Nelliklin. When Habarat damages an enemy, he gains Frenzy. I see. So he's going to move to the closest enemy, the most wounded hero. So he can't get there. Does that mean he would then instead move to Yami? Giacomo asking what objective I'm going for. Definitely double kill. Yeah. So he can't get to Nelaklin, so he actually moves to Yami. When he damages the enemy against Frenzy, he attacks. So it's going to be 4 plus 2 cards. We're going to add 2. He's going to do 6 minus Yami's armor, so 5. And then the second part, closest hero in lane. So I assume it's the lane he's in. He's already there. He's going to lead. Because he had Frenzy on the second part of the ability, he actually attacks Yami again, and that'll get rid of the Frenzy, I believe. Or when he exhausts, he'll get rid of it. So it's a 4 plus 0, thankfully. Habrat's crazy. In solo, he does so much damage. Jagmo's saying lanes are the 2 sides. So he goes to Hokusai. So 1, 2, 3, and then he attacks Hokusai. So it would have been Hokusai. Okay, got it. So lanes are the sides, dome is the middle specifically. And that was his turn. So then it goes back to me, and I have Zakol, and there is a Cootie. And it really doesn't matter if I lose the lane at this point. And these are gone. Forgot to get rid of those. I think it's a dog pile in the middle. I'm going to move with Zakol. Then he's going to attack Gilbrian. So it'll be a 3, 4, 5. He has armor, so it's going to be 4. And then I'm going to actually lead. From hand. Trying to win that dome. Getting the outsider would maybe be a lot of damage. And I don't want to lose the outsider. So then Akuti's going to go, and we're going to click Akuti's card. Migraine, attacking hero or the active hero, moving to it, can get there. Deal 3 damage and disarm the target. So we're going to put a disarm on Zakol, and he's going to take 3. He has armor, so 2. Closest lane, which is here, we're going to move. Attack. So attacks a minion, I believe. Gets rid of it. And then lead. Lead from the top. And there's a Cootie. So I think I just made it through a whole turn. Did I do anything wrong? Ben Sweeney, if I had a nickel every time I thought it was okay to lose a lane, you'd probably have a couple bucks. Jogma correctly saying Hokusai has 2 armor, so he should have 1 extra health. All right, I'm going to start resolving. In lane 1, there's 2 minions, and we each have a hero within 3 of the control points, so nothing happens. Except for Habrat has a lead card. So they win by 1, smashing a minion, moving the control point. Now minions do not move with control points anymore. And then we'll each spawn 2 more minions. Then that'll be a tactician for the blue team. Then in this lane over here, I'm down by, where is a Cootie with a lead card. I'm already down by 2, make it 3, smash a minion, 1, 2, 3, move a control token. Both minions are still within 3, so they will not move. But then we'll spawn 2 on each side. Then we go to the middle, and I have 1, 2, 3 to 2. I'm ahead by 1, plus I have a lead card of 3. So I'm ahead by 4. There's no way, even if there's a 3 here, for them to win the dome. So I win the dome. We'll see if we can finish this thing. So I get the standard outsider activation. Standard outsider, place the outsider anywhere across the dome's perimeter. Seems like a good spot. Then I will attack Korjoff with a 3. So a 3 plus is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I will deal 0 plus to Gilbjorn. It's piercing. This is shockwave. So 0 plus 3. Woo. And then I will... I'll need to be careful not to defeat something here. I'll just draw a power card. Okay, then end of the round happens. So everything readies. Draw 2. And let's see, can I finish it this turn? Let me look. And did we say that Skytear Flux is in right now? Giacomo saying, I smell a double kill. I sure hope so. Giacomo saying with standard easy, you have the flex. Well, let's see if I can get it done without it. Giacomo saying the difficulty settings are at the bottom of the document. Okay, good to know. Let's see. The bear needs technically 3 damage because he's got an armor, but he's marked. So if I get Hokusai in there, there's no armor. So then I need to do 2 to the bear and 3 to Korjoff. All right, let's go with Hokusai. He's gonna skirmish, so we're gonna move 1, and the bear is marked, so he's -1 armor. I'm gonna skirmish the bear for 2. So the bear is defeated. I draw 2 cards, and I have 2 actions to get Korjoff off the board. And I'm skirmishing, so I defeat him. I can still move again. That's very fortunate for me. And then I will attack Korjoff and hope he doesn't. You know what? Is that smart? Yeah, it's smart. I'm going to attack Korjoff, see what he gets. Reaction, Healing Strike. Most wounded friendly hero, heal 3. Oof. So, wounded friendly hero, he moves to them, but it's him, so he doesn't move anywhere. He heals 3. Most wounded enemy hero, Korjoff gets +2 attack, and he attacks. So this is going to be Yami. He's already next to her. So he's going to attack for 3. That's my deck. 3. That's the end of his activation. So I'm in the middle of attacking. I'm going to go ahead and play a Clear Mind on Hokusai. So he's +1. I'm a 3 damage. Plus, I'm going to flip a 2. So we're doing 5. And so I skirmished, attacked. And then he's got 1 health left. So I'll go ahead and just worship. We'll mark him. I'll take 3. He'll take 3. And that is the game. Oh, Giacomo's saying Korjoff has +2 attack. That's right. So 2 more damage to Yami. But I was able to win the game. And so that is a really good example of Tim's list. That's what I saw him do in the championship over and over, which is This deck is so good at murdering things that if any of the kill objectives flip, it's just really good at doing those objectives. So super impressive list. Shout out to Tim for building it and for doing such a great job at the World Championship. It was definitely, I don't know how many people were playing more aggressive lists like he was, but it definitely seemed like he was kind of in his own league on that point. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to the full camera. Would love to know what everyone thought of solo mode and any questions or thoughts you might have. We'll chat for a minute and then I'll get out of here. I definitely think, Giacomo, that having a little like card that has the like order of operations and it's like really having it super clear what the priorities are when you're activating something is important. But I think as well, once you kind of get the templating, like when we pull up Healing Strike, that it's like each bold section happens and each line is its own thing. And the bold equals a move, just making that super painfully clear. Once I got that, like that second round went very quickly and it gave me a really good idea of like interacting with the win conditions, interacting with the opponents. And I think, you know, the design of the cards is going to be really important to make heroes feel like the opponent is using them. Habrat, as an example, is a model that from now on I think is going to strike fear and terror into me because he could just do so much damage so quickly on my turn. I thought that was really cool. Jeffrey Santos asking, if I were to pick up a core set, are the solo mode rules and app available for testing or best to wait until an actual release? So actually, if you go to the Play Skytear website, the drop-down hamburger menu, the solo page is there. So you can click on it. You can look at the rules. You can actually use this thing I've been using on the phone to have the cards. It's in beta, but you can definitely access it. So it's a great time to pick it up. Ben Sweeney saying, I can't wait to try it. Yeah, I think it's super fun. And if you had the game and were excited about it and didn't have people to play against, and you're not a fan of like TTS and stuff, because they've been doing a really great job of making the mod for TTS really fantastic. I saw they did the World Championship. And it was, if you know what's going on, it was enjoyable to watch. You could tell what was going on. The models look great and stuff. So there's obviously that avenue as well. But this is a great way to get the models actually on the table. I have a feeling people that like solo games are going to love this. What up, Luca? Doing well. Saying hi and asking how everyone's doing. Doing well. Just tried out Skytear Solo for the first time, and it was really good. Jeff Boggle saying, watching you guys play is fun, and now having solo mode. I assume having solo mode is a very positive thing for you. I'm excited too, because like, obviously the mixture of heroes you're fighting against, once they have it where you can play against any of the heroes, is going to add variability. The win conditions are going to add variability. And so there's hopefully going to be a lot of replayability here, and it's not, you know, they're using art from previous cards and card names. So it seems like it'd be pretty easy from a cost standpoint for them to develop and add cards to the app and make things interesting. I do think it would be really cool if you had like kind of, you know, the rarity of moments that happen. So you could have some cards you just don't see that often, but when you do see them, it's like this big moment happening. It could be fun, and they could sprinkle stuff in there and surprise us with new cards. Giacomo saying, we didn't test the solo mode with a crazy aggro deck like this. We focused on more balanced ones. Yeah, with people actually trying to control the domes and stuff. But, you know, interestingly, I feel like what was happening even in this game was, you know, I kind of gave up on this lane over here. So when I was watching Tim play, his games felt just like this, which is if you're trying to mimic how like a real game's going to happen. But the basics, right, are like he's going for a kill, and if he misses, then you're in trouble, and you probably just lose the game. But this is a pretty good feeling on whether or not that idea is going to work. And then like what I do with my list when I flip into non-kill objectives completely, I think is interesting. Giacomo saying, I'd be curious to see you play in max difficulty where you have to win by destroying the Nexus. Yeah, well, I might do that next time, or might have Steven do that, and I'll just sit here and watch and be entertained. Obviously, to destroy the Nexus is going to be a lot harder. If that's the only way to win in that mode, I think that also will produce the kind of list that that is the kind of thing that would push people to innovate on controlling beyond where I think people have done so far. And I would be really interested to see a list that could accomplish that consistently, for sure. Okay, well, I'm going to click some buttons. I'm going to answer any questions I get in the next minute or so, and then we're going to get out of here. This was a good time. I think you guys did a great job, Giacomo. This is a great addition to the game. We've seen a lot of interest in this game happening because the idea of a solo mode was around. So between this and the actual solo co-op version of the game, I'm super excited. I think this is a really great start. I'm excited to see you flesh out all the heroes and what you do with this. But I think I'm excited to hear from people who are using this mode a lot. Luckily, I have people around between Tim and Steven to play the game. But I can imagine for people who are spending time painting these models, not really getting to get them on the table, even if you are playing on TTS, there's just something different about getting your own models on the table. All right, I'm going to bounce. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us know. Ben, of course, saying thanks for demoing this. Giacomo PvP, thank you guys for making this. This game is incredible. We're excited to support it. If you're unfamiliar, check out, we have a Skytear full tutorial demo video. That'll be a good place to start. And if you watch any of our content, you'll learn pretty much everything else you need to know. I'm going to get out of here. Stay safe. I'll be back tomorrow playing some solo Middle-earth CCG. So if you want to hang out and watch me explore Middle-earth in my open world solo mode that I custom created, come back tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll stream Skytear in the future as well as many other games. Catch you guys there. Stay safe. See you later.